Hey everybody, it's Anthony here, and today I'm going to be doing my 2013 Game of the Year video. It's been a really good year for games. There's been a lot of good stuff, a lot of good indies too, getting in there. And so let's get started. Let me first start off by saying I didn't get to play every game this year. And please don't start spamming that dislike button if I don't include your favorite game in my list. Because I know there's probably going to be one very specific game that a lot of people are going to pick as their game of the year, and it's not even going to be on my list. So don't dislike the video because of my opinions. Just leave your opinion in the comment section, and I'd love to see what you guys think is your game of the year. So this video, I have a couple titles that have been really enjoyable for me this year, and then the main game of the year game will be the last one I say. So all the other ones I mentioned, no particular order. They're just really good games, and I really enjoyed playing them. So the first one on the list for one of my favorite games this year is BioShock Infinite. I'm a huge fan of Irrational Games. They've made some great games. System Shock 2, BioShock 1, and BioShock Infinite's amazing. It was a great game to start off the year. It got this year sailing in a good direction for tons of great games, and it had such an amazing story, very good combat, and I just loved it. It was a really good game, and so that is why it's on my list. Next up is Beyond Two Souls, and this one might be a shock to some people because it got very mixed reviews. I'm saying some people would give it extremely lows and some people would get extremely highs. I am on that extremely high side of the scale of the spectrum. I loved Heavy Rain. It was one of my favorite games, at least of the last gen. Might be one of my top 10 of all time favorite games. I absolutely adored that game. Beyond Two Souls, while it's not as good as Heavy Rain, it is not a bad game in my opinion. I love it. Ellen Page and Willem Dafoe did an amazing job voice acting and giving their likeness, doing the mocap, all that kind of stuff. It was great. The story I thought was pretty decent, and the main complaint most people had with it is that you kind of don't have a sense of consequence like how Heavy Rain did. If you messed up in Heavy Rain, you would die. That character's dead. The story keeps going without that character. In this game, you're probably not gonna feel like you're in danger knowing that Ellen Page is probably not gonna die at the very beginning of the game. And I think that's the complaint most people had with it. And I can see their point, but you have to look at it not like a different, it's like its own different game. It's a completely different thing.
How long is she gonna keep it
and
up?
Take Beyond Two Souls for what it is, and it's just a great experience. It's a really enjoyable game, and I had to include it on my Game of the Year list. It was just really good. Next on the list is Tomb Raider. I had a blast playing this game. While the characters and some of the dialogue might have been a little cheesy and a little cliche, I had a great time playing it. It was a lot of fun. The environments, scaling, tomb raiding, and exploration and combat, everything just worked really well. It was a very good-looking game too. The graphics were amazing on the PC, and just it gave me everything I wanted from a Tomb Raider, which is good combat, good exploration, like collectible finding, treasure hunting kind of stuff, and like a somewhat compelling story. While the characters might have been a little cliche and cheesy, I overlooked it. But it is still a really great game. You can probably pick it up for very cheap now, and I'd recommend you guys go check it out. It's actually, I believe, coming out for PlayStation 4, and I don't know about the Xbox One, but I know it's coming again like as a refresh for next gen. And let me state this right now. I've predicted this before they even announced this Tomb Raider, that they are going to be doing refresh games, and kind of like how they did HD collections last gen. They're going to be doing kind of like PC enhanced versions for PS4 and Xbox One. Mark my words on that. You're gonna see lots of these coming out. Just like we saw HD game collections, we're gonna see lots of PC enhanced versions for the PS4 and Xbox One. So yeah, Tomb Raider's on the list. Next up is Gone Home. This is another one of those games that it kind of got mixed reviews, mainly because the length of the game to the price cost, but that doesn't bother me. Lots of people think that it didn't have any combat, there's nothing to it. It's kind of the same thing as Beyond, where it's basically just pure narrative pushing the game. And I'm a huge fan of that. Narrative and story and characters are the most important thing to me in the game to keep me entertained. If it's got good combat and a horrible story, I'm probably not going to finish through a full game unless the combat is just simply amazing. But if you have a really good story, I'm easily going to overlook bad combat or poor mechanics for a great story. And Gone Home, amazing story. No gameplay to it. It's just an amazing single player experience. It is short, and I actually like that. Having a 3-4 hour game is something I really enjoy. Something you can just sit down one evening and play through, and you get the full experience. It was awesome. I loved it. Go check out Gone Home, guys. It's really good. Next up is Resogun. This was a launch PS4 title that I was a little excited for, knowing that it was made by the same people who made Super Stardust, since I'm a huge fan of that. And Resogun, I didn't think I would love it as much as I did once I actually started playing it. It was a blast. The music in this game alone, it might go down for best soundtrack of the year in my opinion, right next to Savant, which is also another indie title. But Savant's not on this list. Savant has a great soundtrack too if you want to check that out. But Resogun has an amazing soundtrack. And if you guys don't know what Resogun is, it's a shooter that is on a 360 kind of level. So you can go around in a 360 fashion around the entire thing, yet you're on a two-dimensional plane in that 360 spinning area. It is a lot of fun. If you guys are any fans of Super Stardust, Geometry Wars, games like that, go check this out. This is an amazing title. It's probably the most played game on my PlayStation 4, and I'm having a blast playing it. It's so fun. The levels and difficulties are all great. The online co-op is fantastic. It's just a great game I had to put on my list. So that leaves us to the game of the year, my last pick for awesome titles this year. And that would obviously go to The Last of Us. It's one of the pinnacles of the last gen gaming in my opinion, and it's up there with Uncharted 2. Naughty Dog is just, they basically just ruled supreme last gen. It was an amazing title, and the story, gameplay, combat, everything about Last of Us was just a near perfect experience for me for a video game. I absolutely loved it. It was so good. And if you guys haven't played Last of Us, go play it. If you don't have a PlayStation 3, go buy a PlayStation 3. They're cheap now, and get Last of Us and play it. And then while you're at it, go back and play all these great PlayStation 3 exclusives that have come out through the whole gen. So, Last of Us, my game of the year pick. So good. So there you guys go. That is my game of the year selection. List in the comment section below, what was your game of the year? Maybe list a couple if you can't pick just one. And I'm going to address the elephant in the room here, and that is no Grand Theft Auto 5 on my list. As some of you guys might know, I'm not that big of a fan of Grand Theft Auto. I did pick up GTA 5 when it launched. I picked it up, and I played maybe a couple hours, 2-3 hours in. The first mission was amazing, and then it just started to fall back into the same problem I have with all the GTA games. It's, you're going on a fetch quest kind of, and you're just doing things for people. I'm sure it opens up later on in the game. I really want to play the story. I'm really intrigued. I like the characters. It's just the amount of go here and do this, and then I'll give you this kind of deal. It just, I don't know. I just don't like it. And especially in an open world fashion, it just slows the game down. I feel like if you take those things out, you could drop that story down shorter, and I'd probably enjoy it more. But I'm in the minority here, so don't hate me for it. Just don't hate me for it. So like I said though, leave your comments for your game of the year down below. I'm really interested to see some of them. And go check out my Facebook and Twitter if you guys want to chat about some more games. I'm always on there chatting about games and all that good stuff. So we can continue this conversation and future game conversations over on Facebook and Twitter. So thank you guys again for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.